Day 111 up on the roof, Tyson. So what we're doing at the moment is we are painstakingly with little hand sanders spraying down, as Tyson has here. We're sanding down every single one of the rebars because we've now been out for 6 weeks. So, Top, nice of you to join us. We've now got to do every single one of the actual rebars themselves with blood, sweat and tears. And then after that's been done, we've then got to spray it with a rust additive. So, as you can appreciate, it's quite a complex job. It's an easy job, obviously, but we've got to try and get into every nook and cranny, and it's bloody difficult to do that. So, all of them have got to be done because we've got to get the surface rust off, and the additive that goes on there tries to prevent any further rusting. So, as you can appreciate, it is a big space to do. So, there's 8-9 guys on here this morning, all trying to get in there. And we're working with a different set of brushes to try and find out which ones work best. So I'm about to go off and go and get some more. We're hoping to try and get this whole thing done today and sprayed a couple of times. So it's bloody hot, so obviously standing in the heat doing this is quite difficult. The poor man seems to have arrived early and done what he needed to do. Let's have a quick look at that. He wasn't here yesterday when I turned up. It looks like he's actually done what we needed him to do, which is bloody handy. Okay, so as you can see, this is where the pool deck is going to come down by the 2 inches. So the concrete is going to come to here, then obviously it's going to drop down, go under the 4x2, and that will be the level height-wise of that piece. So as you can appreciate, it tapers off obviously for that to happen. So the pool guys come in and strap that all along. He has gone a bit too close over there, so we need to pull that back. So we're going to need to double check that today to make sure that works properly, because then he's going to have to cut straight down that line. So again, too short. That needs to come over. We need to be seeing that pipe probably 2 inches past all the way around. So we're going to have to look at that and get that sorted out today. Then we're going to have to look at that one as well to make sure that's okay. Barbados Beach House, buddy. Barbados. You are on YouTube as we speak. Tyson's famous. But this is the real Tyson, isn't it? It's not the fake Tyson. This is the real Tyson. So we're going to have to make sure that that is right, because what we're going to have to do is pour the concrete. Once the concrete's poured, we will not see these pipes. So we're have to assume where they are off the back of where we laid them, and then they're going to disc grind through the concrete a 1-inch channel, as they are going to do here as well. So absolutely essential for the measurements to be absolutely precise. Otherwise, we're going to disc grind and we may miss the pipe, or So both of these pipes from this edge of this 4x2, that's all going to be a composite decking anyway. So this is all going to be underneath. The concrete will come flush to here, drop off, decking will continue, and then the 2 traps will be underneath. This one is for rainwater. This one's the water for the swimming pool, that will come in and regurgitate round into the pump room. So at least that's been done, because yesterday he hadn't arrived and I was like, oh my God, there's another thing that's not been done. Plumber still hasn't, or has he? Let me double check that. He may have moved the pipes without me knowing. Unfortunately, so the gutter pipes for upstairs, the plumber unfortunately had put them straight in the doorway. Rightly? Yeah, it looks like he's moved them. Has he moved them? If he has moved them, he might not have moved them enough. No, he hasn't moved them. Where has he moved them? It does look like he's done a bit of a bodge there. Should have gone a bit further than that. So the doorway can go there, but by the time we actually have the block work here and the door frame, that is a bit close. It should have been maybe another pipe over, but we could probably get away with that. So that should be okay. There's a 6-foot set of doors going in there. So again, I'm not too sure who's run trunk in there. So again, what they should be doing is literally coming to the site itself and spraying on the floor where everything is. So there's a conduit there and there's a conduit there. I'm not too sure what they're for, but we've got a 6-foot set of bifold doors going in here. So they've got to be moved as well. And they've only just been put in. Mind blown. I actually only talked to them the other day and told them what was going on there. But again, they don't look at drawings and nobody marks out on the floor. So if the floor was marked out, it would be a bit better. Again, the poor man, I did tell him, you know, that one there's not too bad, but as it goes up further, look, it sort of disappears. And again, they still haven't taken the pipe to the end. So there's got to be a T-junction put on there. So where that finishes here, he's got to put T-junction in there and he's got to run it to the end and cap it off. So both that run there and all of this run around will come straight into the irrigation tanks. Apparently we're having those moved as well. The actual, the manholes that go into the tanks, apparently they're being moved over that way. They haven't been done yet. So again, the site manager has just arrived. He's meant to be at 7:30 to see his guys in. I had a good chat with him yesterday to hope that he understands that we've got to try and change the way we're managing this job. He said he was on board. Shoots off early last night, comes in late this morning. So, another good chat with him this morning. There's still a few boxes to be cut out, as you can see. Those two there, this one here, that one over there. They've been done. That one's got to be cut in as well. That one's got to be cut in. They've been done. A few over on the far side that need to be done as well. So once they're done, we can actually fit these. Well, I mean, all they do is screw them to the floor in all fairness, and then the concrete obviously sits up against them, and then once the concrete's gone off, they tear them out and cut a hole underneath. But yeah, other than that, all the guys are working reasonably flat out. So we know to get the actual the spray bottle upper as well. I've tried to get them all working in one area and getting them to move along as a team, but they seem to be spreading out still. So I'll have to have another word with them to make sure they all work as a team and get one area done. They're all in rooms, so get that room done, move along, get that room done, move along, get that room done, and then get spraying on that one. Spray, spray, move along. And then we can move around and know what we're doing. But at the moment, you've got people that are going to be going over other people's work. So I'm going to have a chat with them now and make sure they move. Start working a bit more collectively as a team, so let's do that now. Busy day today. So I'm just catching up at 4:45. Everyone's just shot off. New site manager started and is challenging and shaking shit, which is good. The guys have been on the actual slab most of the day, actually getting everything scraped off with very, very small. See you in the morning. With very, very small wire brushes. Still so much to do. The air conditioner boxes have been screwed down now, which is sort of good. So yeah, you can see, if I spin it around, you can see what I mean by what they've done. So it's just literally trying to get the surface rust off. So as you can see now, we're getting down to, gross, but we're getting down to silver. So it's just literally getting that done. And then what we've also been doing on the other side, which you can start seeing here, it's darker. We've been spraying it with an additive, as you can see, the white. So it's just literally trying to put something on it to try and cover it and protect it whilst we're still waiting. So you can see the colours now change from dark, reddy orange. The standard stuff is a very light orange, and now we're starting to see a bit of a darker, with sometimes a bit of a green on it. So all of this has now been moved. As you can see, that was obviously over here. All of these now have been edited and moved. The electrics have also been moved. Again, air conditioning boxes are now been cut out rebar wise, put into place and secured. And because we've now cut out the actual rebar itself, they have to build like this little square element around it on all of them. So we've got to do that on every single one of them, make sure they're all in line. We've actually established where the rooms are now, which is nice, so we can actually ensure that everything is actually in the room that it's supposed to be in. The entrance has now been moved. So that's how it should have been in the first place. This thing here, what the architect has physically said, with a 7'1" drop to the ceiling height underneath, using 8-inch steps, which I don't normally use. They normally use 7.5 to 7/8. So 8 is quite a high step. You would get down to here and potentially would feel either you're having to duck or you may have to duck to miss the slab. So he's asked us to literally box this piece in extra. So if we do find that, we can landing and turn around and go 2 steps that way. If we don't feel we need that, then we can obviously box that up and go over the top of it. But obviously if this is poured in concrete 6-7 inches deep and we don't have that and we do need to go left, then cutting concrete out is far more complex than it is just obviously boarding up if you don't need. But anyway, so that's now been moved over. Hopefully it's been moved over where it should be. It looks like it is. Certainly from those lines there, it looks like it's lining up fine, which is good. Again, we've had to move quite a few conduits. As you can see there, look, we've had to move conduits around some of the boxes. That one used to go right underneath, so that's now been moved. So we have found that when we've now put down some of the actual air conditioning elements, we're having to make a few changes, which has been a real pain in the backside. Concrete pour, unfortunately, is now been put off yet again, but it's been put off until Sunday. So we've given ourselves, they gave us an ultimatum. It was Friday or Sunday. Sunday, from a noise point of view, is a bit of a headache because of the neighbours, and I really don't want to upset the neighbours anymore than we already have, that's for sure. But the traffic on a Friday is a nightmare, and if concrete turns up late, it goes hot and hard, and we can't afford to have that. So we have a bit of a timing stroke noise issue on Sunday, but we have flexibility with traffic and general logistics. And also they're not working for any other company on Sunday because they don't normally open. So they're opening especially for us. So hopefully Sunday will be the best day. So that also gives us time to start doing some other edits and changes that we probably would have put off because of the timing. So I'll talk about some of those in a minute, because there's one I'm looking at that I'll show you in a second. But yeah, so everything else, air conditioning wise, everything seems to be in place. I was kind of hoping they would have sprayed everything they've sanded, because obviously the whole point of sanding is to try and get the rust off and protect it. And so going home knowing that it potentially is going to rain tonight isn't ideal, but that's the way things are. Everybody in Barbados likes to finish at 4 to 4:30. Gone are the days of obviously working until the job's done. Air conditioning boxes in the living room, they're all done. We've had to go for 3 along the main wall, so that again the living room is 40 foot long by nearly 20 foot wide. So we've had to go for 3 cold air boxes on the floor, which will obviously be angled upwards that way. We're going to build a mirrored box to the kitchen on the other side, and potentially have some outlets and inlets there as well. And then over in the corner, there's 2 that need to be mounted over there as well. So I'm not too sure why they haven't been done. But again, an inlet and outlet will be there as well. So in total, there's a minimum 5 in this room. I think they suggested 1 outlet and 4 inlets. So 4 cold, 1 hot. Hot being the return. So the return is actually drawn from the room, pull the hot air out of the room and stick 4 cold ones into the room. I think we probably need to go for more than that. So that's the reason why I've had these extra 2 put in here. So maybe 1 at the bottom and 1 at the top. 1 cold, 1 hot as well. I think the more we can have in here, the better. And we'll have a 3-ton unit powering this room. We're going to have a 3-ton unit powering all of those rooms, and we're going to have a 3-ton unit powering those. So we're going to have a 9-ton system, made by LG, if anyone wants to know. LG, because the power that an LG unit draws is so much lower than any other on the market. Plus, their system's very, very good at dehumidifying. So it's not the best when it comes down to cooling, but it draws such a low energy consumption, which is great. And it also does a bloody good job of dehumidifying the actual environment itself, which here is very, very moist. So obviously we need to have a system that does that. We are probably going to stick a separate dehumidifier on it as well, but it does a bloody good job of doing that on its own. So yeah, here it's very, very damp and humid here. So you have to have moisture control within your wardrobes and your basements, and So humidification is something we're definitely going to have to put some time and effort into, that's for sure. I think the LG solution is definitely one of the best ones. The other thing we've done, as I said this morning, the pool drainage has been sorted out, but I do think it's gone a bit too far to the right with the actual pipe. We need to see more of that pipe hanging out, because technically as soon as that 4x2 is taken away, they're going to disc grind down into the concrete and run a line all the way through, 1 inch all the way through, and on the same on that one. And this will all be under a composite decking. So at this present time, it's in and it's installed, thank God, but I don't think that it's set up as well as it should do. So the pool man's got to come out, but at least he now has until Sunday to get that done. We have a few electrical conduits that have suddenly arrived, which need to be moved because technically there's a 6 foot bifold door going in here. So that one there is definitely potentially going to have to move. The plumber came out and moved, talking about drainage coming through doorways. The gutters that were literally in the doorway here, he's now moved them to the far side. So that's now dealt with, that's ready to go. They have had to do something with regards to the marl in here today. They've had to try and angle that down to pull the actual stuff back and angle that. I don't know what they've done, but they have done it. They also realised that they didn't have This is the main entrance into the house, and for some reason that hasn't ever been brought to height. We're not too sure why. It's been talked about, but it hasn't. So anyway, tomorrow that's going to be blocked up all the way along here, all the way to the very end, taken up to height. Unfortunately, all this boxing here is going to have to be taken off and erected on the other side, on the outside. Then the rebar is going to have to go across here. That's going to have to be full of marl. And off the back of that being full of marl, then we can physically we can get that poured at the same time as this being poured. The front, the entrance into the house is just here. So you walk down the actual hallway straight into the house, and the slab is all one poured at the same time. So that's the aim. For some reason, I just pressed pause and talked when I was actually on pause. So I don't know what I've actually covered. I was trying to explain that things like this, look, conduits, literally going around boxes. If we'd literally planned this room, mapped out the actual air conditioning box in the first place, we wouldn't have had to cut this rebar, move all these conduits. So there's a lot of things we've had to do today, which is pretty much moving and rectifying work that we did without prepping. So if there's a bit more prep that went into absolutely everything, then we'd certainly have to do less work. But I did explain that all of that's been moved over there. I don't know if that's been recorded. The drainage has been moved, the upstairs guttering has been moved there. We've got some electrical conduits that are in the wrong place. We've got a big bifold door going in here, so that's got to be moved. That whole floor there has got to be sprayed tomorrow. It's only been out for 2 weeks. Again, I've just covered it, so hopefully it's, if it didn't record, then I'm not boring you to death. But basically that floor itself has only been out for 2 weeks, so we're going to spray that tomorrow to treat it to make sure it doesn't corrode anymore, and it is. But tomorrow the main focus is going to be spraying the half here that I haven't sprayed, finishing off the actual sanding of that room that they haven't finished, and then getting into this side, which is exactly the same, 20 foot by 80 foot, again with those little wire brushes, wire brush absolutely everything and spray everything. So that's the goal for tomorrow, and obviously getting the blocks here and the masons here to get the actual the main foyer stroke entrance of the house up to height. I'm not too sure why it's never been done. We've talked about it. For some own reason, we've never done it. So poor man to turn up tomorrow to make sure he finishes off. More time now being Sunday. All of the actual manhole covers, they've all been moved now, so they can now be redone. Sanding down the rest of the floor tomorrow. Taking the foyer to height. Moving the boxing, getting the rebar done. What else? And then we've then got to get into all this mud. All this mud has got to be taken out, and we've got a septic tank going in. I'm trying to point to it. We've got a septic tank going in over here. So that's got to be dug out, and all the tracks to that septic tank have got to be dug out. But before we do any of that, all of that mud's got to be moved. But now we've actually built a lot of the house, moving around in here is going to be bloody difficult. So how we're going to get an excavator and lorries to do that is going to be a very, very big, tall ask. So that's one thing we definitely got to do, but that's our plan on Monday. So all of this is about preparing for a pour on Sunday with a view to doing the the septic tank and the mud on Monday. So that is pretty much end of day 110. I think it's 110. Let's look at what tomorrow looks like.